Welcome back. You're watching News Center. The United States has sanctioned 19 Indian entities, which includes companies and individuals, accusing them of aiding Russia's war in Ukraine. More than 400 entities worldwide were targeted by the U.S. State Department. These include companies from China, Switzerland, Thailand, Turkey, along with 19 entities in India. Some of the Indian companies on the list include Abhar Technologies, Denvis Services, Galaxy Bearings, Lokesh Machines. In fact, Lokesh Machines is a listed company that has supplied weapons to the Indian Armed Forces. Shares of Lokesh Machines tumbled on Dalal Street today. In a statement to the exchanges, Lokesh Machines said they have been exporting machines to Russia since 2011 and none of its distributors have been featured in any sanctions list. The company also said it is in the process of reaching out to U.S. authorities. What do these sanctions imply? All assets and properties in the U.S. will be frozen with immediate effect. Any other entities owned by the sanctioned companies or individuals will also be blocked. Sanctioned entities will not be allowed to undertake any transactions. Responding to the sanctions, India's External Affairs Ministry said the sanctions companies are not in violation of the Indian law and the government is working towards sensitizing them on applicable export control provisions. Joining us now to discuss more is Jayant Dasgupta, ex-Indian envoy to the WTO. Ambassador Dasgupta, thank you very much for joining us. How do you see these sanctions, the language used by the U.S. Treasury Department, saying that these 19 entities in a group of 400 are responsible for providing dual-use technology to the Russian government, and this has been used by Russia in making weapons which have been used to fight Ukraine. So, first of all, the number of Indian companies, do you find that unprecedented?
Yes, number 19, I think, and two individuals, Vivek Kumar Mishra and Sudhir Kumar, who are co-directors of their respective companies, they have also been sanctioned. So the total number comes to 21 out of 400, and this is very high. And mind you, the sanctions have been imposed not for products which are being manufactured in India, because they are mainly microelectronics or computer numerical controls, which can be used for missiles and other weapons. But a lot of them can be used for medical electronics and for even mobile phones. So dual-use technology is obviously a key point. But the main targets of the US sanctions were China, Turkey, Thailand, and one more country, and Switzerland, from where these items are getting imported and then resent. Now, China, of course, bears the brunt of the sanctions because the largest number of companies from there have been sanctioned. So to answer your question, the number is quite large. But mind you, many of these companies have a turnover of 15 crores or 70 crores or even less. So, and many of the companies have their main exports only to Russia. They are not trading with the US at all. And they are also not importing products from the US, which they are re-exporting to Russia. So that is another aspect which has to be borne in mind. And lastly, I wanted to mention that this is all about non-proliferation. And India stands by three of the international agreements, the Wassenaar Agreement, the Australia Group, and the Missile Technology Control Regime, as well as the UN sanction number 1540 on non-proliferation.
Right. Mr. Dasgupta, how do you think this will impact the export operation of these 19 companies? While the domestic operations may not suffer, but tomorrow if they want to export to any country in the West or anywhere in the world or to Russia, how is it directly impacted?
As far as their exports to Russia is concerned, one of the company's spokesperson has also mentioned that the Indian government is not preventing it, and the Director General of Foreign Trade, for instance, is charged with this responsibility to ensure that all the export control measures and the regimes are abided by. And that the DGFT has, I think, unofficially confirmed that is taking place. As far as the Russian exports are concerned, they will carry on unless the government of India decides to stop that. And the second point is that the Russian payments are being made in Indian rupees because of the bilateral trade agreement that we have. As far as exporting to third countries is concerned, other than the US, no exports can take place to the US. And if any assets are of these companies are in the US, they will immediately be confiscated and handed over to the Office of Foreign Assets Control.
Right, that is an important point. I would also like to ask you, how important is it for India to get these companies, these 19 companies, off the sanctions list?
That will, I think the Indian government is already engaging. The MEA has approached the US authorities because about 120 sanctions were issued by the State Department, and 270 plus sanctions were issued by the Treasury Department. And the OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets Control, comes under the purview of the Department of Treasury. So two departments are involved. We have to see whether these 19 plus 2 sanctions, which department issued the sanctions. So we'll have to engage with them and get into more details and assure them, because some of the companies are saying that what they have exported is not going to get into military use at all. It is basically about medical electronics and for other non-military uses.
Right. Mr. Dasgupta, do you also feel that as a result of these sanctions, because the Treasury Department statement listing out the violations by each of the companies is in public domain, could this impact access to credit for these companies even in India?
As long as they are taking credit from the nationalized banks, unless the RBI steps in and prevents them from utilizing the credit flows. They are also, I think, in touch with, in contact with, and perhaps they have commercial dealings with Sber Bank, SBER Bank of Russia. So the credit flow may not get interrupted only by putting restrictions in India. That may continue unless the government of India decides to step in and prevent them from exporting, and also from tapping the normal credit channels that they are utilizing at the moment.
Right. Ambassador Dasgupta, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We've completely run out of time. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. More news and updates continue right here.